Welcome back. Working on the 763 again, and this is actually a viewer suggested video where you're looking at the drive belt and tensioner for the 763. Not only for the 763, my T190 has the same tensioner, my 773, the S160s. I mean, there's a ton of machines that use this type of tensioner. So if you lost all hydraulics, you're just moving along, you go into a pile of dirt, you have no drive, you have no lift, no tilt, more than likely you broke your main drive belt. So it just so happens the bearings are going out on my tensioner, so we're gonna put in a new tensioner and a belt. Let's jump right into it. Okay, you can see that I've already removed the battery. That's the easy part. And then I took the air box out simply for filming purposes so that we could get the camera in there better and you can see what's going on. And next thing we do is remove our belt cover. Got these little spring clips, 3 of them supposed to be there. If you've got a belt cover and 3 spring clips, consider yourself lucky. They're not always there. And that gets us access to our main drive belt and tensioner. And then we got to remove our actual fan drive belt. And you can see this is the tensioner pulley. This is a good time to check the bushings in the tensioner pulley assembly. And you can see that my bushings are worn a little bit. See how it rocks back and forth? But that's another project for another day. There's not a lot of spring tension on it. See, I can easily move that tensioner back, and that's the way it's designed. So I can push that back and get the belt off. Okay, just let that get out of the way. And then next we're going to remove our tensioner assembly itself. That's all it is. It's just one bolt. You'll use a 9/16 socket. And the whole tensioner assembly just comes right out. And then we can remove our main drive belt. Let's quickly take a look at the tensioner itself. So this is my old one, and you can tell that the bearings are going out and it's making noise. And that's how I knew that the tensioner is starting to go bad. So it is spring loaded. So I've painted this little arrow right here red, and that's going to be important in a minute so we can see how to tension this. Now, if you're looking at this straight on, you can see this arrow is pointing about the 1 o'clock position, and that's the untensioned position for that arrow. And we're going to put our pry bar up here, and as we tension and push down on this onto the belt, this arrow is going to come around. Now, it maxes out at about 3 o'clock, and we don't want it maxed out. We'll tension it all the way down to 3 o'clock, and then we'll back it off a little bit to keep that belt under spring tension. Now, if your machine does not have a spring tensioner in it, it could be solid mount. Throw it in the trash and buy you a spring tension tensioner. So let's get this one put in real quick and I'll show you how to tension it. Now, sometimes even right out of the box, it is very hard to get this spring to cam over using your pry bar. I mean, I've lifted up with everything I've had before and not been able to get it. So what we can do is we can actually put this tensioner in our vise and make sure that it is going to cam over. And if you have one that won't cam over, you can put it in your vise and try to free it up a little bit. So we can see the red arrow here, and as I compress this vise, that arrow comes around all the way to about that 3 o'clock position. When I let off of it, it should return to that 1 o'clock position. So if you have one that you can't get cam over and tension with the pry bar, put it in your vise, maybe put some lube and stuff back here and get that spring freed up. The first thing we're going to do is get our new belt installed. And then our tensioner goes in. Just barely going to get that bolt snug so that we can tension it. Okay. All right. And then we're going to come in with our pry bar right over the top of the tensioner here. And hopefully you can see the red arrow right here. Watch when I push down on the belt. Oh, see how it cammed over? It was hard to get it started, but once it goes, it goes. So that's maxed out right there. That'd be about the 3 o'clock position. So I'm going to back it off to about maybe the 2:30, 2:45 position. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten our jam nut. So that drive belt is properly tensioned, but we are going to come back a few hours later and we're going to check that, because once this belt kind of gets driven a little bit, being a new belt, it's going to stretch and wear in. So we just need to readjust that. Now we can put our fan belt back on. And finally our belt cover. So I'll finish getting this machine put back together, but I think you get the idea. That drive belt is a pretty easy process to do. It's just making sure you get that spring tensioner set just right. Like I said, about that 2:30 position. And then check it about every 5-10 hours at first, and then every couple hundred hours after that. And it's just part of regular maintenance. So if you have any questions, let me know. And thanks for the suggestion on this. I really appreciate that. I haven't done it because it is kind of hard to film and it is such a simple process. But anyways, thanks for watching.